Hi everyone. I'm here today to talk about Power Query and Power BI, two amazing tools within Microsoft Excel, which allows us to work on big data. Yes, really large chunks of data. So let's get going. What exactly am I talking about? Like, what's the process? The thing is, you can import in now any type of data from any source into Power Query, where you can give commands to transform it. Yes, everything on click of a button. And then you can put up a Power Pivot so that you can summarize and visualize your data as you want it. Of course, the next step is the analysis of this data. Again, to reiterate, you can pick up data from virtually any source, other Excel files, databases, web, you name it. It gets transformed and imported in through Power Query. And finally, in the Excel, you can get the accumulated data in tabular format. Or if the data is too large, you don't want it to show as an output. What you really want to do is it should stay in the background and you can summarize on the data using Power Pivot. Now, this is an amazing journey because it allows you to get ready to take on Power BI also. So here we are saying start with Excel, learn Power Query, learn Power Pivot, and it's a smooth transition to Power BI. So let's get started. So what is the data that we are talking about? Here you will notice I have 10 files of data, and each of these files has 5 lakh or 500,000 rows of data, each file. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to import all of this into one Excel through Power Query and then run a Power Pivot to filter out some lists. Yes, creating lists of segments of customers is one of the most important support that a data science person gives the business team, the sales team. So here we go. I've opened up a new Excel sheet, and here in the data tab, I will go and click on get data. And when I click on from file, I get multiple options. And here I want to actually pick up from folder. Now here you will see that there are just so many options, aren't there? Now I go and choose the folder where my data is. And we can see that the connection is getting established, and we can see that the system is showing up all the 10 files. Now there are multiple options including transform data, but we have the option to we know that all the data sets are in the exact same format. We don't want to transform anything just now. What we want to do is to combine and load the data, but we don't want to load it into a table because we know that we have 10 files of 500,000, which is 10 files of 5 lakh data set. So that's going to be pretty huge. It will not fit in an Excel. So I will choose only create a connect, add this data to a data model and only create connection. So once I do this, what happens is that the data does not get saved to a table format where we've already discussed that the number of rows would be just too many. Now the system will read in the data and create the data model, which is a combined data set, and give a connection in the front end. So as Excel is importing in the data and processing it, let's just think a bit about what is market segmentation. Market segmentation is the process of dividing the target market or customer base into smaller groups which share similar characteristics. This could be on geography, demography, psychography, behavior. And the reason why you do it is that for each of these segments, you can give the relevant communication. You can sort out your product range into which will appeal for which segment. Hence, creation of lists of segments, of sets of customers who will be similar and therefore should be targeted in the same manner is very, very important to grow a business. And here is where, in the example that we are checking out, we're going to see how to do this. So here we are. The data files have come into the data model. Yes, the data model you can see has 50, 100,000 rows loaded into it. That is a 50 lakh rows of data. And then what I do is I go and I want to insert a pivot table. So I go here and say from data model. Okay. It asks me where do I want the pivot table to be placed, and I ask it to be placed in the existing worksheet. And here we go. For this data model that we have, we can actually observe all the data. Now, I personally always want to work on the good old drag and drop classic pivot table option. So here you go. And if I want to just understand, how much data is there, etc., I can do it easily. I can look at the phone numbers, and instead of the sum of phone, I'll just do value field setting. Count of phone numbers that is there. So there are 4 lakh 99, 49 lakh 96,688 phone numbers. Some of the um, data has phone number blank. Now, one of the things you want to do is to create a list, right? So at this point, what have we done? We have got the data through Power Query into a data model, and we've created a Power Pivot on top of that data model on which we can see all the uh, data. And what we want to now do is to create some filters so that we could actually cut out the data and um, you know, work on it. So one of the things I want to do is to look at state, and in state, I want to remove all the south states. Okay. I want to remove the blanks, and I want to remove all the south states and then look at the data. So it's just like a pivot, making it so much easy for anyone who works on pivots and Excel on a regular basis to upgrade. People keep talking about upgrading your skills, etc. But sometimes there's no clear path which emerges. And this is one clear path which I'd like you to try out, which is to, if you work extensively on Excel, please do try out the Power Query and Power Pivot. It will help you work on much larger sets of data. Okay. Now I also want to pick out salary. And in this salary, I want to again look at certain cuts, select multiple. And I want to select blank. So when I look at the north states and I look at salary being blank, I can see there are a total of 40,192 um, rows of data which are there in the pivot. And now I'd like to extract it out. Now, one of the things is I don't really know how many rows of data can I extract from this pivot. So if I want to answer that question, how many rows of data, then what I would want to do is to go to data. And for this model, I like to go to properties. And over here, you can see there are just 1,000 rows of data. And this I'd like to increase to um, 1 lakh rows of data or 100,000 rows of data. Okay. So I have done this change here. Now, when I double click over here, the model will give me in a separate sheet these 40,000 rows of data, 40,193. Okay. So I can now, and you can see it's across different data sources. Now I've got a list of north, where the state reads north of India and the salary is showing as blank. For these people, I'd like to get some more data. I'd like to see if I can, get the salary and I can process this data further. So I hope this has been a productive session for you. Again, as I said, please use Power Pivots and Power Query as a very easy upgrade of your skills on the way from being a data analyst who works on Excel to being a data analyst who works on Excel and big data. I'll see you really soon in my next video.